Hello friends, welcome to our channel Creating Essence. I am Megan and I'm so glad you're here today. This weekend I posted a question on my Instagram for anyone to ask us questions. Any questions you want answered, anything at all, and I promise to answer every single one because there are a lot of times I don't get to every single question. Well, it is really easy to answer all the questions this time. And that's not because there were so few. It's because they were about one thing. And that is, how is my poison ivy healing? Now I realize I haven't said much about this on my channel itself. There have been a couple of videos, especially the bread making videos, where I have put up a note on the bottom when part of my poison ivy wound has shown, and I've been like, don't freak out. It's just poison ivy. Don't worry about it. Sorry it got in frame. I've been working really hard to keep it out of frame in my videos because it's been awful. I was raised on a dairy farm. I spent countless hours every single year of my childhood out in the woods, down at the creek, out in wildlife with my dog, with the cattle, playing, doing farm work in the fields and in the pastures. I have been exposed to poison ivy like heavily, more times than I can count, and I have never reacted. So I'm still cautious, but I always just kind of figured I don't react to poison ivy, which is funny. I have a lot of environmental and food allergies and weird ones, like agave. Who's allergic to agave? In case you didn't know, that's what tequila is made out of. And the first time I had a margarita when I was 21 was a bad day. I was shocked that I had never had an issue with poison ivy, but I rolled with it. I'm still really cautious. You may remember our Veterans Day vlog where we did a whole bunch of work around our 1 1/4 suburban acre homestead and getting things all cleaned up and tucked in for the winter. Well, in one particular part, when I was cleaning out the brush around our shed, I knew there was a small poison ivy vine there. I wasn't sure how it got there. We've never had poison ivy there, but I had seen it there earlier in the year as the grass started to die back when things started freezing. So I was wearing long sleeves, long pants, and I was wearing gloves pointedly with a rubber coating. So when I was pulling out all the brush back there, I made sure I had gloves on, and then I didn't touch it by hand. We just raked it into a pile and away it went. The next day, I did some filming, like my 10 questions for veteran homeschoolers and about my hearing loss. And you may notice I have a bit of a weird red thing going on here. I also realized I had just a little stripe of like blisters that were insanely itchy right here on my wrist. It took about 24 hours for me to realize it was poison ivy. Best as I can figure, because I know it's something I do. I actually got exposed to poison ivy here because this is kind of where my glove stops and my sleeve can slide up at times. I had itched my nose, and that's why I had that right there. I did all the things. Unfortunately, the jewel weed is all frozen right now. Cruel of Mother Nature that she will freeze the jewel weed and not the poison ivy, right? I did all the things you're supposed to do, everything I was reading, even though it was insanely itchy and then oozing and ugly and just nasty. Everything said it was healing normally. I just kept fighting through because everything I read said 2 to 3 weeks. All right, I can do anything for 2 to 3 weeks, right? Thankfully, this has mostly cleared up. I have a little bit of it. It kind of went down here. It's mostly cleared up. It kind of just looks like pimples now. I can deal with that. But my wrist has been a whole other story. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen my stories and my post about my struggle with poison ivy and kind of how infuriating it was to me that I was struggling so much with poison ivy. Like, I've done a lot of physically hard things. I have dealt with so much, and it was really frustrating to me how badly I was handling physically and kind of mentally this poison ivy thing going on my arm. I hadn't said anything about it for a while, which I think is why so many people posted questions asking about how it was healing, because it had been really gruesome, and I showed some of those pictures. I'll show some here right now in case you care to see. I'm warning you, skip the next 15 seconds if you don't want to see them. But what started out as a little line of blisters turned into a huge wound hole, oozing flesh hole, as a friend of mine called it. And oh gosh, it was awful. And just when I thought I was turning the corner, I suddenly woke up about a week ago. Coincidentally at the 2-week mark, when I thought I was supposed to be getting to home free, right? And I had thick rashes going down my arm. And by midday that day, both arms and my legs, my back, and my neck had broken out in urticaria. Urticaria is basically a systemic allergic reaction. So, close as it can be figured, my body just kind of got fed up and had a delayed allergic reaction systemically to the poison ivy. And I have been covered, praise God, not my face, with urticaria. Itching, just insanity threatening itching all over my body. From my neck, literally to my toes and fingertips. I learned I kind of have to cover everything up. Thank goodness, last year I kind of had an obsession with these slouchy turtlenecks from Old Navy that also have thumb holes, because I made the mistake of just wearing a regular long sleeve shirt to the gas station last Saturday. And my poison ivy wound showed, and the cashier politely freaked out a little bit. And I was like, she just looked at it and was like, are you okay? It's like, oh, poison ivy, sorry. I try to keep it covered. Praise God for thumb holes and turtlenecks. Benadryl has not helped. Really anything. Nothing has helped. So I've just kind of been letting it run its course. I've been putting all the things on my skin to soothe it. Thankfully, it seems to be winding down. The wound is actually healing now. And at the same time that it finally seems to have turned a corner and started healing, the urticaria is subsiding. It's still there. I still look like I'm kind of covered in weird blotchy chicken pox. The itching has subsided, which is so wonderful. I will post a couple pictures of what it looked like the first day I started breaking out in the urticaria, and sent to my husband at work, and was like, what the heck is wrong with me? I need to go to the doctor. And that's kind of a big deal, because if you know me, you know I don't go to the doctor much. I just don't usually need to, and most things are easily handled myself. It got much worse after those pictures, before it rounded a corner and got better. I have had really limited mobility in my left arm because the wound caused swelling, and because of its location, right now I can go to here before it starts getting uncomfortable. This wrist, easy peasy. This one, it gets really tight. That skin is tight back there and it's uncomfortable, and I'll show it to you right now because people are gonna ask. This is what my arm currently looks like, and this is a vast improvement over what it was. You can see the urticaria going down, and it gets in thick patches around my elbow. And it looks like that all over. Turtlenecks and leggings. Turtlenecks and leggings. But the location of this has been awful as far as mobility. You can see this darkened spot here. That's as big as the whole wound was. This hand has spots from the urticaria both on my palms and that. You may have noticed those in my bread making videos, because I did show this hand a little bit, and I noticed after the fact the urticaria was very visible. But it's a really thick patch of skin, and it's a bad wound, and It's not comfortable. I'm getting mobility back in my arm. I was so excited this morning when I was sitting at my computer desk and I noticed I reached for my coffee with my left hand and picked it up. And it didn't hurt because the swelling is going down after 3 weeks. 3 full weeks of dealing with this poison ivy that went systemic with its reaction. I could pick up my coffee and drink it with my left hand without pain. I still, like, if I go down on the floor or something and where you normally like flatten your hand, I have to do one of these things instead of flattening my hand because I can't get there between the pain and stiffness and the wound that's impacted with the skin stretching and bending. That is the story of my poison ivy. I kind of wonder if my struggle mentally with it earlier on was because my body was feeling generally unwell and there was something brewing, and that's why I was having such a struggle. My husband has joked that I should get some of those vet gloves that go up to your shoulder and wear them underneath my clothes and gloves when I do yard work in the future. I think it's not a terrible idea. Thank you all so much for hanging out and watching this weird video today. I don't know if there's much to be liked about this video, but if you liked it, if it was funny, if it was oddly, disturbingly intriguing, whatever, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to hang out for more of my weirdness. We'll see you later, friends.